The rain came down in sheets that night, soaking the cracked pavement of a quiet highway outside Ashbury, North Carolina. Daniel Brooks gripped the steering wheel of his rusted pickup, his eyes darting between the road and the rearview mirror where his 6-year-old son, Oliver, dozed in the back seat. A single dad and full-time mechanic, Daniel had just finished a double shift at the garage and was taking the long road home, again. He was used to the long nights. Life had demanded it of him ever since cancer took his wife, Rachel, 3 years ago. He'd been soldiering on ever since, fueled by coffee, love for his boy, and memories of better days. As he rounded a sharp bend, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated a horrifying sight: a sedan crumpled against an old oak tree, its hood spewing smoke. Without hesitation, Daniel slammed on the brakes and swerved onto the shoulder, his heart thudding. "Stay here, Ollie!" he shouted, yanking the keys from the ignition and leaping out into the downpour. The front of the car was mangled, the driver's side crushed inward. As he neared, Daniel saw a woman slumped over the wheel, her face bloodied but breathing. Without a second thought, he yanked open the passenger door, crawled inside, and hoisted her over the console with a strength he didn't know he still had. The smoke thickened. He cradled her carefully, dragging her away from the wreckage just as the engine caught fire. Flames roared behind him, but he didn't stop until she was safe beneath a tree, far from the blaze. Sirens wailed in the distance. Daniel stayed beside her, brushing wet hair from her face. Something about her features made his stomach twist. It wasn't just the adrenaline. There was something hauntingly familiar, like looking at a ghost. The paramedics arrived within minutes, taking over in a blur of flashing lights and shouted commands. Daniel stood back, drenched and shaking. As they lifted her into the ambulance, a medic turned to him. "You saved her life, man. She wouldn't have lasted 5 more minutes in that car." Back in the truck, Oliver clutched Daniel's jacket. "Is she gonna be okay, Daddy?" "I hope so, Bud," Daniel said softly, gripping the wheel with numb fingers. "I sure hope so." 2 days passed. Then 3. On the 4th, Daniel was changing oil beneath a beat-up Mustang when someone knocked on the garage door. He wiped his hands and came out, only to stop dead. The woman from the wreck stood there, bandaged but upright, her eyes brimming with emotion. She looked like Rachel, same dark eyes, same graceful posture, same half-smile that tugged at the corners of her mouth. And then it hit him. "I'm sorry," she said, voice trembling. "You must be Daniel." I'm Elise. Rachel's sister." Daniel staggered back a step. Rachel had mentioned a sister once, briefly. Estranged for years. Moved to New York. "You're Rachel's sister?" Elise nodded. "We lost touch a long time ago. It's complicated. But I was driving down to see her, to make things right. I didn't know she had passed." The silence between them throbbed with unspoken grief. Daniel stared at her, unsure whether to hug her or fall apart. Elise lowered her eyes, tears mixing with the soft rain beginning to fall again. "I found your address in the hospital records," she said quietly. "I needed to thank you. You didn't even know who I was, and you saved my life." He shook his head. "Didn't matter who you were." Elisa's gaze softened. "That's what makes it matter." Over the weeks that followed, Elise became a quiet presence in their lives. She helped Daniel around the house, read bedtime stories to Oliver, and sat by Rachel's grave in the mornings, whispering apologies to the wind. It turned out she hadn't just been Rachel's sister, she was also incredibly wealthy, having built a small tech company that recently sold for millions. Yet, despite her money, Elise was lonely. Her success had cost her relationships, including the one with her sister. One evening, after Oliver had gone to bed, Elise sat across from Daniel at the warm kitchen table. The hum of the old fridge filled the silence. "You're a good father," she said, sipping her tea. Daniel chuckled. "I'm trying. No, she said. You are. You give everything, even when you have nothing left. He shrugged. What else is there to do? She looked at him for a long moment. Give me a chance to help. He frowned. You don't owe me anything. I do, she said, voice thick. But this isn't about debt. It's about healing. I lost Rachel before I could say sorry. But maybe, through you and Oliver, I can still do something good. She pulled out a folder from her bag and slid it across the table. Inside were documents, deeds, checks, plans. Elise wanted to invest in the town's auto shop, expand it, give Daniel a real business, not just a paycheck-to-paycheck life. She wanted to start a community fund in Rachel's name. She even offered to set up a trust for Oliver's education. Daniel blinked, stunned. This is too much. It's just enough, she said, eyes glistening. For you. For her. For all of us. Months passed, and Ashbury slowly changed. The once failing garage was now Brooks and Company. Auto, a community hub where struggling families could get their cars fixed for free thanks to Rachel's fund. Daniel found purpose beyond survival. Oliver began to smile more, laugh deeper. And Elise became part of their family, not as a replacement, but as a bridge between what was lost and what could still be found. On the anniversary of Rachel's death, the three of them stood at her grave, holding hands. The sky was clear, the air warm. Daniel placed a rose on the stone. Thank you, he whispered. Elise squeezed his hand. For what? For crashing into my life, he said, half smiling. And reminding me that sometimes, even wreckage can lead to something beautiful. And in that moment, surrounded by grief, grace, and second chances, the world felt full of possibility again. Because sometimes, the greatest collisions in life don't break us, they bring us back together.